And Barak Yahweh Brakatha, Yahawashi, Barak Yahweh Brakatha, Yahawashi Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles, the elders. Salutations to you, sincere brothers, teaching in truth and in sincerity. Lesson will be entitled A Sling and a Stone. Sling Yahawashi. If you are reading this in the computer version, right before you read verse 20 in 1 Samuel chapter 17 in black and bold, you see David accepts the challenge. All right. 1 Samuel 17 and 20. And David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with the keeper and took and went as Jesse his father had commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to fight, and shouted for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. At this time frame, both armies were in military formation, facing each other. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Goth, Goliath, by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spoke according to the same words, and David heard them. Goliath was known as a great, humongous warrior. Now, more than likely, Goliath stood over 14 feet. This man was so big, he had 6 fingers on both hands. This man was so big, he had 6 toes on both feet. Okay? Verse 24. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. Verse 25. And the men of Israel said, have you seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who kills him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel, free from what? Taxes. And David spoke to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that kills this Philistine, and take away the reproach / shame from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living power? And the people answer him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that kills him. Meaning, this man would receive what was stated in verse 25. David was attempting to get confirmation again. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spoke unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, why came you down here? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride and the naughtiness of your heart, for you are come down that you might see the battle. And David said, what have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward another and spoke after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former manner. Verse 31. And when the words were heard which David spoke, meaning what? David told them he accepted the challenge. They rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servants will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, meaning young, and he is a man of war from his youth. Now, Saul was afraid too, which displayed Saul's faith in Yahawashi. David was ready to fight, which displayed David's faith in Yahawashi. And David said unto Saul, your servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, meaning mane, and smote him and slew him. Your servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living power. David said, moreover, the Lord Yahweh that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. So David is looking at Goliath as another beast. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord Yahweh be with you. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put an helmet of brass on his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword on his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it, meaning practice in Saul's armor. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off him, meaning he took it off. And he took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. All David had was a sling and 5 stones. But most importantly, he was armed in faith, which made him believe and know that Yahawashi was with him. Okay? See, David had the armor of the Most High on. Okay? He had the armor of Yahawashi. Case in point. Let's go to Ephesians, the 6th chapter. Verse 13. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins, meaning mind, girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High. All right. And this is all we need. The armor of Yahawashi, Yahawashi. Okay. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, back in 1 Samuel 17 and 41. And the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, meaning young, and ruddy, light-skinned. Okay? And David had the complexion of red fox. Okay. Again, David had a reddish complexion, such as red fox, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog that you came to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give your flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, You came to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield, but I come to you in the name of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the power of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day will the Lord Yahweh deliver you into my hand, and I will smite you, and will take your head from you, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a power in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord Yahweh saved not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord Yahweh's, and he will give you into our hands, Salakia. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag, and took there a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. All right, now, if you can receive this in the spirit, this account will be used in a symbolic format regarding the time frame we are facing now. Now beginning with the apostles of Great Millstone, trickling down, will be a representation for David, hence the house of David. All right. Esau and this modern day system is a representation of Goliath. And the stone is a representation for Yahawashi. Okay? So at this time frame, we are prophesying. Okay? We are winding up that sling in our hand going clockwise. Okay? We're winding it up. Okay? And this is symbolic for us teaching. Okay, teaching the word of Yahawashi, Yahawashi. All right, again. And David put, 1 Samuel 17:49, and David put his hand in his bag and took there a stone and slang it. Now that stone is a representation for Yahawashi. Let's go to, let me do it like this. Isaiah chapter 8 and 14. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel. That he is referring to Yahawashi, who is also likened to a stone for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Let's go to Daniel chapter 2, verse 34. Now this is going into the image, okay? Going into the dream that who saw? Nebuchadnezzar, okay? And he needed Daniel to break down this vision to him. And Daniel received this information via the Holy Spirit. Now the point is, we are in this time frame of the vision. We going into the dream Nebuchadnezzar had. This is Daniel 2 and 34. You saw till that a stone, that stone is referring to Yahawashi. You saw till that a stone, referring to Yahawashi, was cut out without hands, meaning the chariots, the technology that Yahawashi is coming back in is not man-made, okay? Which smote the image on his feet that were of iron and clay, and broke them to pieces. Okay, so let's jump up to verse 33. His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. See, we are in this time frame, okay, which is a representation of pagan Rome coming back in the form of NATO and the EU, and also you can include America too. Okay, so right now the Most High has us swinging that sling, all right? And at the allotted time, the Most High is going to dispatch Yahawashi. And once Yahawashi is dispatched, he is going to take down this system and the person that runs the system, going into who? The nobility of Edom. Okay? So just like King David displayed his faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, we must continue to do so until we are saved. And the size of our opponent doesn't matter. Okay? Again, we are that representation of King David, and we have the stone, which is Yahawashi. And Esau and his system is a representation of modern day Goliath. Back in 1 Samuel 17 and verse 46. This day will the Lord Yahweh deliver you into my hand. All right? And we are approaching that game day when Yahawashi will return and destroy this system. This day will the Lord Yahweh deliver you into my hand, and I will smite you and take your head from you, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a power in Israel, whose name is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahawashi. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord Yahweh saved not with sword and spear, right? So our warfare is spiritual and not carnal. For the battle is the Lord Yahweh's, and he will give you into our hands. And just like David received in his hand ancient Goliath, we are going to receive modern day Goliath in our hands. And it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took there a stone and slang it. A sling and a stone, sling Yahawashi. And we are slinging Yahawashi, okay, through the art of teaching and preaching. And smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the earth. Lord, will you edify? Shalom.